Good morning. Happy Friday. So markets were up a bit, and I think it's another meaningless move for the most part. I think the whole week was, for the most part, meaningless. It did create a little support area that we'll see if this holds up next week. But a little initial move down and up into the range, and the price has gotten a little bit more up here. And let's move this over here. Hit the 20 MA and it's backed off, and essentially here we've got just trading in the upper half of the wide range bar, and it's not even a wide range bar when we look at the futures. I mean, the spiders and SPX, because of the significant gap up. So a lot of movement, initially down and back up, but nothing of significance as far as changing the bias, meaning the trend is down. And while it's made a higher low, that really doesn't do anything to change the trend. When we look at retracements as a guide, here's the turn and just saying how far did it retrace and close into the prior pivot high. It's getting better. It hit the resistance here, and it's backed off already, as you can see, pre-market on the hourly chart. Just hit this pivot high and these highs here, and it backed off. But it is starting to trying to eat into this overhead resistance. What I would need to see, let's say, to start having a bias that there's the potential for a move of some significance, would be some more sideways choppy price action, maybe in another attempt to go down and it sprung back up again, because what's happened so far doesn't mean much of anything here. It's just gotten up to a stiffer resistance area. Buyers did step up on the dip after this run, so did make the higher low and all, but sideways price action here would be a positive of absorbing the supply without a significant pullback. So we'll see if that unfolds here this morning, if it can do that. And of course, at the end of the week, do we have another bottoming tail bar next to the other one? So let's look at SPY, clear up the drawing. And prices are up here, right? They were up a bit higher. You can see the crosshairs was up around 432, which is, in the same congestion area there. So it's hit this resistance. So now, with that being said, can it hold as it cleared this pivot high? If say 20 minutes or so of trading, prices can stay above this level. Now, this 430 level, remember, was a significant area that it needed to hold. And it did, for a while. Then it gave way and it fell into the void. And then it bumped its head on the way up. And, so now it's back up here again. And it's at this resistance. So if it can hold on to this gap up for, sometimes we say 30 minutes, that's a guide. Sometimes, you get a bottoming tail bar or a breakdown failure, and when it's 20 minutes, well, to say, oh, it's got to be 30 minutes, that's just not happening. So we'll see. And if it can do that, well, maybe it gets a bit higher here. And when we talk about retracements and a gap up, if we were to get a green bar where prices rallied into this area up here and could hold on to it, it would be an improvement. We'd still be dealing with this mess that's here, but we'll see how it plays out. I mean, so far it's just been this messy price action, from day to day. 71, better from round number. Yeah, let me just see what I had looked at earlier this morning. The prices are pulling in a little bit. Maybe they have had increased that premium a bit. 71. All right. So here's something I've been thinking about lately, McGraw, is that, historically we're going for a little less premium, and the premiums have been jacked, where it's like, wow, that's attractive, like a no-brainer. It's still pretty far away, but they're getting a little closer. And so you're saying 70. See this low here. First of all, prices are up here, right? They're up here. How far do they have to travel to get down there? And this is part of what we talked about yesterday in the green room. We were having some discussions about, what makes the criteria for a, is it just the cheapest option? And it's like, no, it's not just the cheapest option. Part of it is their defense lines on the way down. So we say, okay, let's, you're saying 4170, and that's this prior low there. It's got to get through yesterday's low. It's got to get through 4,200, before it can hurt you. Well, it'll be hurting you as on the way down, of course, but we talk about the probability of it getting down there and, not recovering. Well, if on one fell swoop in the morning, market opens up at 9:30 and prices collapse down to 4,200 in the first 5 minutes, I'd be like, man, we better think about real hard about getting the hell out of the way, because that's some power. But assuming it just opens up around here and it meanders around for a while, jiggles, tries to go up, tries to go down, that kind of price action is what we want. But I picked this bar. This is what we talked about yesterday in the room. Let's just see what an average monster bar looks like. And this one is a monster bar because you go back and look, and you won't find too many of them. So on average, they're smaller. The big bars are smaller than this, like, this red bar. It's almost there. So if we say, okay, prices are up in this area here, if we had a monster nasty day, could you get hit? Yes. What's the probability of having a monster bar today? Just generally speaking, I would say relatively low, and it's Friday, and, things that we think about. But is it within the realm of possibilities, a gap and a crap and a big nasty bar? Well, of course it has to be accepted, but it's not a high probability. So looking at, 4165, you're saying 4170, it's okay. It's okay. So 4170, 75 by 85, but you can go down to 4160 and, say, well, it's going to be nasty if it comes down there, but the odds of a stabilization at that point. So I think what, your recommendation, your suggestion is fine. It's based on, gapping above here. It's got to get through this level, it's then, here, this little congestion you can see on the hourly chart. And then, of course, 4,200 is going to be a big level. So we will know if things started to progress as it was inching down there. We are going to know what's going on, and we'll measure other things like the VIX and what's happening in tech and so on. On the top, which could be a good deal. Now, so what I would, without even looking at the premium, I'm going to say something above 4,400. I don't know if there's going to be any juice there. There's not. There's nothing there. Just, so I think that is too close. You've got to go to 43.85, 43.80. No, no way. Mm-mm. No, 43.75. No, 43. Oh, wait a minute. 43.75. 95 by $1.05. 43.75. I'm not that brave. I don't, that isn't a no-brainer. It's too close. But if you do it, I'll cheer you on. I hope you make it. All right, let's look at everything else. All right. Qs. There was that spike up there. I don't know what time was that. 6 o'clock in the morning. I don't know. Something must have happened, I assume. But there's been these spiky moves right up into the pivot high, and it's just backing off, which is okay. So maybe it can form a buy setup. It's a downtrend. Nothing going on here. Qs. Biden. Glenn saying Biden speaking on Russia at 10:15. Don't count on it being 10:15, Glenn. That guy never can get out of bed, and he never speaks on time. Maybe it'll be 11 o'clock. All right. Qs. Where are we? 337. Right up here near resistance. So gapping up here. Now there's a void above, and this is what we're dealing with lately. Gap up, resistance, gap down, gap up. It's a crazy week, whatever. Things are inching lower here, under 335 now, so no biggie. Russell, Dow backing off from the resistance in the 20 here. I think it's going to turn out to be, well, we'll see whatever this news is, but I think it just might be turn out to be a relatively uneventful day. And Russell still within the trading range. So nothing of significance has happened this week, right? It's just, here's this news, all this back and forth, and no breakout of ranges, no something bars. Transports so far holding the bottom of the range. Well, that's a plus, but it's in a downtrend. TBT, interest rates ripped back up again. So, 10 years up above 2% again. 5-year. 10-year better go up if the 5 years going up like that. And we talked about watch the distance between these numbers. Watch if this number comes up above the top of that one, or even the 10 and the 30 here. There's a decent distance between them. Anyway, keep an eye on these numbers. And Bitcoin. What's Bitcoin doing? Nada. Nice day. Back down, bottom of the range. Nothing happened. Crude oil pulling back maybe a little bit more before the buyers are going to show up, whether it's at the 20 or at that minor support. This low right here on this big down bar could be where they're going to make a stand. Keep an eye on that as crude oil starts perking back up again. I'm going to put some pressure on the markets, but maybe whatever. Maybe this bullshit thing that's going on over there comes to bullshit. Killing people. Someone I think should put an end to this guy over there. Probably Bitcoin. We look back down there. Silver. And just whipping around. And gold. Pull it back a little more. Should set up a buy opportunity. So a lot of nothing going on here. Well, this was a significant move, a climactic, and the euro collapsing and the dollar, ripping to the upside, but it's still strong. And let's look at it's been a long time. I think we got to go back to 2000 or so. No data there. I think, yeah, because this when this started trading. I mean, I think the old high was in around 2000. So it would have a long way to go if that's in the cards, but we'll see. All yours, Dan.
All right, come on. Yeah, you know, it's funny. Well, I don't know if funny is the right word, but um, so Putin comes out and says, "Oh, maybe I'll play nice," and the market's up 500 points, and I'm just shaking my head. And you know, because I'm kind of a contrarian by nature, I thought to myself, I wonder if this SOB. My first reaction was, why would he want to do this on purpose to mess with America? You know. In the end, you know, two things popped in my mind. One is just he likes creating havoc, you know, pain to America, it makes him happy. And number two is, you know, I wonder if he has a couple half dozen traders on a team. And he's like, look, go ahead and buy spider calls. There's a very high likelihood it's going to gap up. And, you know, let's make a couple 10, 50, 100 million, you know, just on a tweet. So anyway, I'm glad we're coming in here a little bit. You know, it'll make it better for credit spreads today, because if it gap way up here, you know, it's another big gap, a gap and go day. I'd much rather have a pullback and reversal than a big gap and go day. Today's Friday, so see, that was the problem on Wednesday. That was a monster gap on Wednesday, and then it just ran in place for a while because the gap was so big. But I posted a big list of put and call spread ideas today. Not a whole lot, but let's. Oh, John, again, good job for you getting us into Deer put spread yesterday. 1 DTE and an Airbnb. I give John full credit for that, and those look like they'll be great. So a couple tier ones. Remember MT Live yesterday or Wednesday? We talked about market prep for day and swing trading, and my goal at the open is give me a tier one setup. What does that mean? A high probability setup on multiple time frames that is in the batter's box, provided he acts nice within the first 30 minutes. So SHLS, remember I was going to post this one officially the last 2 days. It's a solar stock, but it had earnings. Well, now their earnings are gapping up to 17 bucks. That's a beautiful gapper with a big price void, target 20 to 22. So just for starters, I posted 30-minute high. We'll see how it sets up. I don't know. I might buy a pullback reversal, might do a 10-minute high, might cancel it. I don't know. But it's a tier one right now. What else do I got as a tier one? Chevron. Remember Climo? Greg and I were talking yesterday on the gap up day. I told Greg yesterday, I said, it's still on my list. Let's see what it does at this prior high. And it made a new high and got rejected with a topping tail. Now it's gapping under yesterday's low. So it's good to go now. I like it. Ulta gap breakout from a multi-month trading range. Look at all these converging MAs, price void. That's another tier one, right, Roger? And so I want to do a 340 put spread. It's gonna be spready at the open. So I got to keep an eye on it. And it closed at 360 midpoint credit. And so I just arbitrarily said, let's try to get 250. But I have no idea what it's going to be here after 5-10 minutes. And so it's our job at the open to monitor it. HBM, this was a beautiful setup. Somebody in the green room mentioned it yesterday, but I was waiting for a pullback, which happened over lunch. I see pretty much, well, other than Facebook just gave up and exceeded its gap up is negated. But zero DTE day, we have our usual suspects: Microsoft, Apple, Amazon, Google, Netflix, a little less, whatever, Tesla gapping up. So those are all our usual suspects for zero DTE. Roku, I would have no desire to do a 7 DTE put spread, but look, I got a little bottoming tails at this prior low, and it's gapping up over this 15-minute resistance. So Roger, help me. Where's Detective? He's usually my Friday morning assistant. So 5-10 minute high, I don't know. Let's do a 0 DTE put spread, 108 and lower. So that is another tier 1 0 DTE for me. XL, yep, we're already in it, but looks good. CHPT, so Thomas, setting up for what? It's up 4 bars, far from the 20. We talked about it on this 180 reversal. Remember when my alarm went off? And I think it was extended at that point in time intraday. But that 180 reversal breakout was your day. This little oil stock, something's been up with that. Look at that volume. Yeah, Stephen, but yeah, I mean, but we have no idea what it's going to be at the open. And we talked yesterday, Stephen, about what a reasonable credit is for how long of time to expiration. Now, if it takes out the 10-minute high for a $5 wide, Stephen, I'll be happy with 40 cents. Why? Well, my general rule, 10% would be 50 cents, and you're going to give me 80% for a couple hours. If it's a good pattern, then we'll take it. Cost, yeah, definitely, without a doubt, David. I know he's kind of spready, but the pattern, 100%. That's a great 0 DTE put spread under yesterday's low. Yes, good one. All right, Diddy, bad news. They got delisted from Hong Kong. That Chinese stock, they're having trouble. Toyota is the news. I think I heard CNBC saying they're cutting 20% production to deal with supply problems. You know what? Similar to kind of opposite Chevron. I know they're totally separate, industries, all that kind of jazz. But I'm going to keep an eye on this to see what type of reversal we can get at this prior low, because then it's a climactic buy setup. You see, opposite of the Chevron thing. LMT still on my list, but Chevron's a better pattern for a call spread. With Bitcoin up, let's keep an eye on Riot and Mara. Those are 2 little Bitcoin things. Oh, that Shark Tank guy, Kevin O'Leary, he was on CNBC talking about Bitcoin today and the war. I do like the fact that it seems like everyone but China and Iran is unified and just trashing this friggin' warmonger. But Kevin O'Leary kind of said an interesting comment about Bitcoin. He used to hate it, and now he told Joe Kernan he has 20% of his net worth in Bitcoin. That was a shocker to me. And he said, Joe, don't think of it as a coin. Think of it as it's a software company, just like Microsoft and, whatever else he said, Apple, whatever. But he said it's a software company. Just view it like that. I don't know. I still have problems with creating value out of thin air on a computer algorithm. I still have a hard time with that. But nevertheless, let's keep an eye on these bottoming patterns. Yeah, these are great put spreads over Wednesday's high. Wednesday's high, beautiful put spread, and this would be a pattern I'd do for next week. Oh, and Greg, the guy, the CEO of Interactive Broker, the Bulgarian guy, I think. He was trashing Putin, obviously, too. And false alarm. He thinks the war might be over in a week because he thinks that the Putin generals are starting to defect. And he says this president, he's history. He's toast. He's done. It's just a matter of what the exit plan is going to look like. So I think that is one reason I'm saying that is, we got to keep, we trade charts, I know, but as you can tell with many of these gap ups on positive war news, that could help put in a bottom next week. All right, Blink is gapping down on earnings, so I have no interest right now, but if it does an amazing recovery and takes out these highs, I like it. On Daku, now this is one that it's not a bullish pattern. It's nasty, but it's so far from the 20 with an excessive gap that it's actually on my put spread watch, 0 DTE, provided, maybe 30-minute high. I need a bullish picture. All right, this Shillis is, darn it, see, it's, my tier 1 trade is getting messed up here if it keeps rallying. DSP, no pattern, potential bottoming pattern. Oracle was weak, now it's back, surely no pattern. LZ, I wish it were gapping lower, and then this would be a gap and snap candidate. It's bouncing right now a little bit. Hey, John. All right, workhorse alarm. All right, workhorse looks great. Over Wednesday's high. Workhorse is a go. Let me set a new alarm, 395. I just think workhorse could be a total home run entry here, and I hope it doesn't hit today. I hope it hits on Monday so we don't have the weekend risk. All right, let me continue here. Riven, do you remember this was the IPO that had a ridiculous valuation for never producing one automobile? Electric, look at that, gapping down to all-time lows. That had such crazy bullish market sentiment. It was insane. Napa earnings, no pattern. Yum, no pattern. This could be 0 DTE if there's any juice. Red Robin, IOUT. Hey, Nicholas, thanks, you too. Zoom Z, nasty gap breakdown. See, I want to look at my monthly.